Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of Founder Ground, where we get to interview SaaS founders and hopefully find out why their product is so exciting to our industry, to our customers, and to our community. So I would like for you guys to help me welcome Ralph and Sameera from Pathfix. Ralph is the CEO and Sameera is their COO. How are you guys doing today?
Hi, doing
Good,
pretty
good.
good.
How
How
are
are
you?
you?
Doing great, doing great. I'm coming to you guys live from New York City. Where are you guys from?
We're currently in Bangalore. We're from Bangalore as well. Constantly travel between the US and Bangalore, obviously not under the current situation.
Right.
Uh,
Awesome. So for our viewers who are coming across your product for the first time, what is Pathfix?
Sameera?
Right. So Pathfix is an OAuth proxy that enables SaaS integrations very, very quickly. So think of if you want to offer your end users the ability to integrate with their SaaS that they currently have, we help you enable that in less than 5 minutes.
Wow, that sounds amazing. So
Yeah, we're quite excited.
So with Pathfix, before we dive into that, can you tell us more about yourselves?
Sure, I'll go first. So I've actually been an entrepreneur for a good 5 years now. So this is my second stint. Overall, I have about a little over 15 years of exposure in the entire SaaS startup space, as well as some of the Fortune 500 companies. And we've built a lot of different sort of technology platforms, different SaaS platforms in the past. I think if I were to tally it up, it might be close to about 8 of them, just, me and Ralph collectively over the last 6 years. And from our learning based on that, which I'll let, Ralph sort of, jump on that topic, we decided to start Pathfix together.
Awesome. And you,
Yeah.
Ralph?
So I've also been, heavily into product development, love product development, especially love the SaaS part of it. Like Sameera mentioned, we've been together building a lot of products in the past. And for every product, we realized that uh, OAuth or the integration always used to be a challenge. It used to be a challenge because people expect it to be a standardized technology or a standardized architecture, but when you actually go into it, it's not so much fun to work with. We also realized, with every integration development, that the developers don't love integration development at all. And in most cases, integration development used to get outsourced, and people used to pay a heavy fee uh, for for something that shouldn't have attracted that much of a cost. Uh, so yes, I mean it's more the inception of Pathfix is more from the troubles that we faced during development and releasing integrations, and not only integrations, not internal integrations, because there are a host of tools out there, but mainly external integrations or integrations to your end users SaaS platforms or into your end users software stack. That used to be the problem. So yeah.
Cool. So you talked about why the product was created. When did you guys launch?
So we've actually been, working on this for the last, just as on, I think, end of November. And we launched the platform officially on the 7th of Feb. So we won't say that we're, we've been there for too long, but yes, we understand the SaaS industry being in it for the last, 6 years. We understand, at least for me personally, I've been in it for the last 6 years. So, and we understand the entire, the SaaS ecosystem, how it has grown specifically through the, the ups and downs and challenges that the industry has faced. So, it's been, I wouldn't say just about the 3 months, but it's been much longer for us.
Awesome. So the SaaS industry actually evolves very, very quickly. So I could definitely see why CEOs, SaaS developers would want to embrace your product. Let's talk about that industry for a quick second. You know, where do you see the future of SaaS? Where do you see uh, people going in terms of leveraging off these different technologies online, especially in challenging times like today, where everyone's being forced to work from home or in quarantine or in a lockdown type of situation? Companies need to be able to move fast and be act in a lean way, correct?
Yes. For a very long time, people have been actually doing a lot of horizontal development, which means that, they take on a lot more than, they really should. So the world is, in fact, moving towards, as we like to call it, a hyper specialized SaaS world, where, you know, you you as a founder of a SaaS product essentially would be happier taking care of your core value proposition and not getting into areas of horizontal development which do not directly affect the core of the product. uh, and so it's actually not as much a problem with whether you are working together or whether you're working from home. But uh, but having said that, more and more tools that allow you to achieve specialized tasks actually make the whole internet like one big software that you can effectively consume.
That's a very good point. I remember, so I was born 1988, so I was part of that generation that came up with the internet. And I remember way back in the day when we had like the AOL and the dial-up, and internet has come a very long way from what it used to be. And today, just knowing that you can launch software on a browser is amazing. I grew up on Microsoft Word and PowerPoint and Excel, and now Google has created this SaaS solution where you can do everything online, right? And it's creating this shift of access. And with that, I believe SaaS is going to be the next level to that, where you can literally do everything. Maybe there's going to be some product out there for like a Photoshop style editing for
Oh, there
photos
already
and
is.
video.
So there are a lot of these softwares. So you're absolutely right, Richard,
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah, so Canva is like the first level of that, right? And now I'm starting to see more and more advanced versions of it. But with these different SaaS software that's available, you want to be able to integrate that to other solutions now. And I believe that's where Pathfix will fill that void. Am I correct?
Right.
Yes.
So what ends up happening is that because we're moving to such, a hyper specialized SaaS world, that you have a lot of your customers who are using so many different platforms, and they want the ability to be able to connect to the platforms that they're already on. This also, which is why now there are a lot of these companies that are coming out, which have an integration first strategy. And if you don't have an integration first strategy, you miss out on a lot of benefits that you would gain. One of which is you are part of your user stack, right? So if you're a part of a user stack, you are getting them the data that you want from the applications that they're using. You are definitely going to be used more. So that is essentially, the importance that integrations, hold in today's SaaS world.
Exactly. So basically, the people that should be really paying attention to today's call is basically the SaaS developers, backend software developers, software engineers. Am I missing anybody? Oh, CEOs,
I would
obviously, right?
I would
Yeah.
say SaaS founders, because they're the decision makers, or they are the ones who decide how they want to fit into the end users ecosystem of SaaS softwares.
Okay. And the most important thing is that these founders need to pay attention to money and time. Am I correct?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So, I'd like to give you an example of, we give this example quite often. Say I were the founder of a SaaS company, of a photo printing SaaS company, and I'd like to, pull the users' images from the, from their drive. Now, there are two ways to do it. One is either I ask them to, upload all their images, from their disk drive onto my SaaS, and I print it out for them and send it to them. But in today's world, uh, we have all our photographs on some cloud drive. Like we'd either have it on Google Drive, or we'll have it on OneDrive, or whichever one that we try to use. Now, at this point, it makes sense to actually pull the information or pull the images from any of these end users' drives, rather than giving them only the option of uploading all of these images, because the world is moved towards cloud. So this is like a very good example where if you want to extend your basic SaaS application and read into the end user's space, you actually have to do it through OAuth or OAuth integrations or SaaS integrations.
Okay. So since we're talking about integrations with like Google Cloud or Google Photos or OneDrive, I'm sure some people will be concerned about security. How does utilizing Pathfix help with that?
This question actually has to be taken, into a slightly different fashion. If you were to build the entire authentication system yourself, then how much, then there are two aspects to it. One is getting the core functionality ready. Like, okay, I want the integration to get ready. And then the next aspect is that how much time do you spend on making that secure or bulletproof, so that it cannot be broken. Now, because this integration is not really core to your company, you would probably mix it with the development of other tools that you have created, not really giving it that much importance. Now here's actually where the security concern comes in, because what OAuth does is it actually stores tokens that allow you to access information from the other, from the user's information in another app. Now, if you do not pay enough attention to security, if you do not pay enough attention to encryption at rest, encryption during transport, that actually, brings up a lot of problems later, because, just with that access token, somebody can actually go and, pull your user's data from this, from another app. And people keep missing these things out because they think of an integration or OAuth integration as an extension, but actually it's a module in itself. Because so with security, you've got the ability for using those tokens, network firewalls. You have things like signed requests that you need to send, encryption, decryption, and as I mentioned earlier, encryption and decryption at rest and during transport as well. So, these are all issues that, since we're targeting one specific problem, it actually has become our responsibility to take care of all of this, rather than, having everybody take care of this again and again from their end.
That makes sense. So that's also something else that should be considered, correct?
Yes.
Right, absolutely. So, in fact, we have placed additional, like Ralph was saying, we have actually placed additional security measures within Pathfix to make sure that, apart from the encryption that OAuth, itself requires, we have a lot of IP and firewall restrictions. We also have a private key, and there are a lot of security protocols that we have sort of implemented in Pathfix.
Okay. And within Pathfix, do you guys have like any additional levels of security? Do you guys do like 2FA or anything like that?
Sorry, I couldn't get your question, sir.
Oh, do you guys have like additional features for your users to protect their tokens and accounts?
Oh yes, so we have a whole lot of features, all the way from from private keys to actually unlock their data, to firewalls, like Sameera mentioned. We also track origins, and we also have a rotation of keys that happen on the server, so that if you if accidentally any information is exposed, the rotation sort of invalidates the older keys. So yes, we have features that are inbuilt, and we have features that are configurable by the end user as well.
That's awesome. It's good that you guys thought ahead of that. I feel like that's something that is overlooked oftentimes, and the only time people pay attention to it is after the fact. So it's good that you guys already have that in place.
Yeah, in fact, our after our initial discussion with the users, uh, you know, although we had a very basic level of security when we first launched, uh, we realized that this is actually the biggest concern, and we actually spent a very large sprint trying to put this in place from various aspects, because the internet does make a lot of things very vulnerable. The best way is to isolate the networks, and not give people the ability to actually access anything directly, place things behind firewalls. But then you also have users wanting to control firewalls because their setups are different, their implementations are different, their IPs keep changing, their IPs are dynamic. So we've actually considered a lot of these permutations and combinations to actually put something which you can really depend on out there.
Okay, and since we're talking about these different various integrations, does Pathfix put I guess like a cap or put in any type of restrictions to how you can use different SaaSes together?
So we don't. Yes, we do have a restriction from the from the provisioning point of view. So from the pricing point of view, but that only sits at the number of messages passing through our servers. So we do not put any restrictions on the number of SaaS integrations that you've made, the number of users that you have on your system. We have absolutely no restrictions on any of those. The only cap is on the number of messages that are going through the system, and that's essentially just because it's linked to our price point.
Okay, yeah, totally makes sense. Uh, so let's see. I think I have a question coming in about your competitors. So how does your software compare to like Auth0 or Zapier?
All right, so I'd actually break this answer down into user personas of people who would want to use a Zapier or an Auth0. So the first one would be is that I am a company that uses many SaaS softwares and want to configure a workflow for my own company. In that case, they'd use Zapier, Blender.io, Tray.io. So those are the ones that they'd use in that case. The other persona is that I want to use a single sign-on to manage identities in my system. Now, this is a second use case where they would use softwares like Auth0 and Okta. These guys would not use Zapier. They need identity management, so they've got to go to Auth0 and Okta. A third scenario is that I'm a software company who works with multiple teams and APIs. Now, this falls under the third category, which we like to call API housekeeping category, and people in this category would work with the likes of API Jeep, Post API Network, Kong kind of softwares, and then you have the fourth category, which actually applies to us, which says that I am a SaaS company that would like to offer my end user the ability from my product to talk to other products in their stack. In that case, they use Pathfix. So there's actually a very clear distinction of who would use Pathfix and who would not. Now, but having said that, users usually, are in a bit of a confused state because all of these use cases that I mentioned, they all, rely on the OAuth backbone, which is a much larger umbrella than any one of the companies that I've mentioned handled by themselves. They all handle parts of the OAuth backbone.
I'm sure that answer helped a lot of people. I know I was personally confused. I made that same mistake when we first started talking. I
Yeah,
definitely know a lot more now than I did just a week ago. And
yeah,
this is very important. And this is actually the reason why we host these webinars, so that we can share this information with people so that they can make the proper decisions when it comes to their business. And especially for the SaaS founders who want to cut down on development time, who want to save money so that way they can take that money and maybe reinvest it into marketing efforts. Now that's a completely different conversation because as a SaaS founder, typically you're bootstrapping, you don't have investors yet, and you want to be a very lean organization. And with a solution like Pathfix, you can cut down your development time anywhere from, if I'm not mistaken, from 500 hours to 2,000 hours per integration. Am I correct?
yeah.
Right. I mean, you're absolutely right. So what would happen is, you are actually spending that many hours, and it is important for you to save that hours, not just as a SaaS that is bootstrapped, but even if you are a funded startup, even if you are a funded SaaS that is, currently out there with thousands of customers, you want to be able to still provide them features and functionalities and product and integrations a lot faster than, spending hours on end, days on end, spending your engineering hours on building that entire module, maintaining it, having additional servers, looking for that, the SDK to download and install on your servers, right? And that's just time consuming, and you need to be able to focus on your product, on your core solution, be able to spend time on that versus build a special server, build that framework and manage an additional module that you don't necessarily need.
I agree. I agree. I have a lot of founders I've been talking to in the last couple of weeks, and I noticed that in almost every interview, they say the same thing. Like, we put in a lot of time into this. Like, we're integrating that, but it's just the roadmap's gonna take a little bit of time. So hopefully,
Right.
if they're watching this call or listening to this call, they're gonna be like, hey, let's get in touch with Sameera and Ralph. Like, let's see what we can do together. And I think that's the magic of what we're doing here. We're helping so many businesses become leaner, become better, and at the end of the day, it services our customers better too. So I'm very excited about that because that's like the core to all of our businesses, right? Making our customers happy, being able to roll out features faster. So speaking about that, do you guys have like a public roadmap that people can follow, or is there like a suggestion box that they can start submitting like certain integrations they want to see uh, that's compatible with Pathfix?
Yes, we do have a public roadmap that is available. We could probably share the link at the end of this webinar. Oh, it's on the website as well. So you would definitely find that in the footer, which is available for all to see.
Awesome. I'm pretty sure that's something our viewers going to be looking for. Everyone always wants to know what's down the road, what's down the road. But I'm always excited about what you guys have right now, right?
Sure. I mean, there is a lot. So our immediate focus is to build as many integration connections as we can. So currently we are offering about close to about 50 integrations, and we are looking to ramp that up to about 300 over the next month, 2 months is what we're sort of going for.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty
And
fast.
yeah, and I'd like to add over here that Pathfix, as a platform by itself is meant to be is designed to be an open-ended platform. Now, what do I mean by that? I don't really give you an integration. I give you a connection to an integration provider. I solve the problems with that connection. And you don't really have to download any of my code or any of my APIs to get started. All you have to do is take the information, the REST API information from the provider, like you could Google or MailChimp or HubSpot, take the documentation that they've given, pack the information inside the request that you're sending through Pathfix and send it across. And we'll take care of, making sure that the message gets delivered to the app. You get back a response. Your tokens are refreshed. Your tokens are renewed. All of the 9 yards, and you're really not restricted to waiting for us at any point to release any new integrations to any new software. Having said that, yes, you would have to wait. So for example, there's say a software that goes big and their integration has just released. We just have to open up the connection to that software. We don't really try to offer you or try to build libraries that will help you connect to each of their integrations that they have offered. We enable a gateway for you to be able to do that.
So I actually have a scenario for you guys. I work with a lot of sales coaches, and their biggest challenge is getting people to like sign up for like a webinar or sign up for something like a free download or whatever, right? So can your product be used to help do like a single click sign up where you have a integration with like Google or Facebook, and then you can bridge that gap between their CRM, where if they,
Yeah.
So that's totally possible.
I mean, I'm really excited to answer that because we've actually spoken to a few and working with a few people to actually do that. And it's pretty simple because, everybody has documented all of the integrations. The only complexity is, okay, I need to set up my authentication servers. I need to, encrypt the information in a certain format and send it. So the problems are actually not real problems. Problems are problems that, are not so complex. So integration is actually, very sweet. In fact, I've worked with integrations, 15 or 18 years back, and I've worked with integrations now, and the world is much easier to work with integrations now. But having said that, it can still be done the wrong way. And obviously, I'd like to recommend Pathfix as the right way to do it.
That's awesome. Now I have a whole list of people I want to talk to about Pathfix. Oh, I have a question. So do you guys have documentation available in terms of, I guess, like a walkthrough type of knowledge base or a Q&A type of system where, like, if someone says, I have issues with like connecting Google, like what are the next steps? Like, do you guys have that laid out?
Okay, I'd like, although Sameera usually takes this question, but we have all four of those. We've got the documentation, we've got the knowledge base. Obviously, it's growing, it's constantly growing. We have knowledge base, we've got the support, and we have, somebody who's on the chat almost 24/7, who is available to you inside the product. So if you're inside the product and you're stuck with, okay, I can't really do anything, or I can't really, I need help with Google integration. We have our internal knowledge base as well as our external knowledge base. Now, and we actually internally depend on the internal knowledge base a lot because, for us, it's like a common source of information that a whole lot of people are trying to do the same things again and again, and spending hours, hours if not days of time trying to figure out the same answer to the same questions. And we have a knowledge base internally, which sort of consolidates. And if you come to me saying that you have a problem connecting to, say, Google Analytics, the likelihood is that, I might be able to give you an answer much quicker than, you having to spend time looking for it out there on the internet.
That's awesome. I'm very excited to hear that. So
I'm not let Sameera say anything. So, if you have a question for her, I think the next one.
Perfectly all right, don't worry.
All right, so I'm just gonna give a quick rundown of what's gonna be happening next for this software launch in the next couple of days. So tomorrow we're actually going to deep dive into the SaaS industry a little bit more. We're going to talk more about OAuth. We're going to talk about various issues in the industry and how to solve them. I know we already touched base on time. We've talked about money, but we'll probably give you guys a better example of how much money that you're saving, right? Because we can always talk about hours and you're like, oh yeah, I'll outsource to somewhere that's cheaper, but it really adds up to a lot of money over a period of time. So we'll give you guys a couple of examples about that. So we'll be doing these webinars with Pathfix, with Sameera and Ralph at 12 p.m. noon Eastern time. And that I believe is 9:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. So we will be doing these webinars on Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. On Monday, we're going to go into talking more about how the product works. We're going to talk about the features that's available to you, and we'll talk about various use cases for the platform. And then on Tuesday, that's always my favorite day of the week. That's when we actually launch Pathfix. You guys will be able to purchase your license, and we will actually walk you through the entire onboarding process from start to finish, from account creation to setting up integrations and whatever else comes in terms of the features. Since I don't know all the features just yet, I can't spoil the surprise, but I'm sure as we go through each webinar, you guys will understand more about the product. I'm learning along with you guys, if you guys haven't noticed. So that's always what you'll see with our webinars. Everything is always focused on the education and the learning behind the product. Do you guys have any last words you would like to leave for our viewers?
No, actually, we're quite excited about our launch with PitchGround. We're excited to answer any sort of questions that may come up over the next few days, and we're here and we'll continue to be here for any sort of any questions at all. We're very excited.
And any last words, Ralph?
So we're both available at Ralph and Sameera at Pathfix. So if you want to directly get in touch with us, just send us an email and we can talk. So this is definitely open to even people who want to partner with us at any level, at a freelancer level, at a at a more strategic partnership level. We're open to that. So yeah, over to you guys.
Awesome. So that ends our call for today. Thank you guys for joining us. We're very excited with the launch. So again, join us back here tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or subscribe to our Facebook event. So that way you guys always have access to our Zoom link. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section below. Thank you guys again for joining us today. It was a pleasure meeting you. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Thank you, Richard.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks, Sameera.